Right. Let us discuss today, that is 12th December 2015 newspaper. Here the first important news article is related to the Tapi pipeline. We need to understand the geopolitics surrounding the various gas pipelines in India, coming to India, and also the Turkmenistan and the gas reserves of the Turkmenistan. We need to have a short note to it. Now, the Turkmenistan, it has the fourth largest gas reserves in the world. The Russia is the major gas supplier to the Europe. Now, Europe and America, they want to develop the alternate energy routes to the Europe. And Turkmenistan, it has a specific advantage to diversify its energy routes, because the Turkmenistan is largely dependent upon China for its energy supply. So in this diversification process, the Tapi pipeline offers one such opportunity. And to counter the Russia, the geopolitics goes like this. From Turkmenistan, a trans-Caspian Sea pipeline will be built. From there, South Caucasus, that is Baku, Tbilisi, and next is Erzurum. This particular is called South Caucasus. This gas pipeline will take the gas from the Caspian Sea link to the Turkey. From Turkey, it goes through Nabucco pipeline to the Europe. So this is what is the route which is suggested for the Turkmenistan gas to reach to the Europe. This is going to bypass the Russia. That's why Russia is very much opposed to this particular, the Caspian Sea link, or this Caspian gas pipeline, Trans-Caspian gas pipeline. So that's what is the reason that Russia is very much opposed to. Now, if you see in this diagram, so the Caspian Sea link, it is coming through Baku, Tbilisi, and then it is going through Nabucco pipeline to the Europe. This is what is the alternate pipeline which is proposed for. So the United States, it wants to develop an alternate energy route to the Europe away from the Russia. And the second major interest of the United States is this. India and Pakistan, these are energy deficit nations. And Central Asia is energy rich resource. So the Central Asia and South Asia has to be connected to bring in synergies with regard to the energy use. So new grounds of the energy supplies and destinations have to be found, and Tapi pipeline is in alignment with that. Added to that, Iran, Pakistan, India pipeline. So America was vehemently opposing to this IPI pipeline. As a counter to this, to the energy security of Pakistan and India, it is supporting this. Now what the partners are benefiting from? One is Turkmenistan, which is energy or cash strapped. It is getting the money required. And the second thing is, it is able to diversify its energy resources away from China. India and Pakistan, they are getting the required energy resources. And Afghanistan, majorly it is dependent as of now on the international aid. It is now going to get the money, more than $300 million as a transit fee. But what are the concerns over here? The major concerns, they are related to the security. Now, the Pashtun-dominated Kandahar, it passes through. So in this context, the Taliban has its strong presence in this particular area. So unless the local Pashtun tribal people agrees or comes to peace with this pipeline, the security cannot be ensured. This is what is the major concern, and the transit fee is another concern. The Pakistan wants to charge very high transit fee from India. And finally, if you carefully observe, the Turkmenistan has to certify the total amount of the gas reserves at the Dawlatabad. But however, to what extent the gas reserves, those certified by the British firm, were not sure for India. So once this pipeline is built at such an expense, if there are no gas reserves, then it is going to fire back. These are the concerns involved. And Russia and India, they are generating a pact for the defense projects. If you see, the light combat aircrafts, helicopters, these are missing in action in India. So Russia if we import from them, the spare parts is a major issue. What we are asking for Russia is the technology transfer or development of a joint venture within India. So the Russia agreed for a technology transfer with regard to the production of Kamo 226 helicopters, which are light helicopters. Now, with regard to the energy talks, now let us see what are the differences that are prevailing between the developed countries and the developing countries. India, that is monitoring and verification mechanisms, it is asking for 10 years. The Europe is stressing it for the 5 years. Next is India is asking for the transparent financial mechanisms and technology transfer. The West is not giving the clarity on this particular issue. And China and G77, etc., they are stressing for the differential treatment. And this differential treatment, there is no clarity from the West. Finally, the least developed countries and island nations, they are asking for the fixing of 1.5 degrees C as the peaking temperature. But however, the Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Russia, which are oil and gas rich countries, they are opposing for this 1.5 degrees peaking of the temperature. So these are the major issues we need to overcome at the climate talks. Now coming to banning of the diesel vehicles. So the National Green Tribunal, it has kept on hold giving permissions to the diesel vehicles till January 6th. So elimination of the diesel vehicles and its impact on pollution in Delhi, that has to be studied in the meanwhile. But however, it is going to worse affect the automobile industry. So let us see what are the consequences of this. Now the Muslim of Hindutva, it is about Bajrang Dal, and it is no way useful for our examination. Now the important article of the day is about bringing the Headley to India. Now Headley will become an approver, and he is going to testify his role with regard to the Mumbai attacks. So it's going to bring in the state and non-state actors in Pakistan into dock, and it speeds up the Mumbai terror trial. So in this context, recently in the talks, the Pakistan and India, they resolved to take forward the Mumbai terror attack with much faster pace. So in this context, this is going to be an uneasy situation for Pakistan as Headley testimonies various role of the Lashkar-e-Toiba and other ISI operators. And Japan keen on making in India. Yesterday we discussed about the Shinzo Abe's visit to India. So in this, the major issues are Japan has huge surplus capital and it is want to spend that capital in India. So it is giving soft loans with less than 1% interest rate for infrastructure development in India. The Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, bullet trains, and added to that the civil nuclear cooperation, which is a major irritant as of now, they are going to be solved during the Shinzo Abe's visit. And the defense relationships are also increasing between India and Japan. If you can see, the coastal multi-utility transport vehicle we are discussing already with the Japan. This article is related to Haryana Panchayat law. So this article is a bit of extreme. So what the Supreme Court said is, it has upheld the Haryana Panchayat law, which prescribes the educational qualifications of 10 years for the open category, 10th class for the open category, 8th class for the SC men, and 5th class for the SC women. So what it has been found is more than 68% of the SC women and 41% of the SC men, they do not meet the qualifications. So added to that, a functional toilet has to exist in every house. And finally, they shall not have any financial debt or else repayments pending with cooperative societies or electricity departments. So now in this context, what Supreme Court held is this. So the Sarpanch has to, or Panchayat members has to send an example to the society by using the sanitation measures, because the primary function of the Panchayat is maintenance of this sanitation. And with regard to educational qualifications, it said that Minimal educational qualification will increase the quality of the delivery of the governance in the local governments. Finally, the elections today in the country, they are an expensive affair. Any person who has an agricultural debt, he has relatively less chances to contest the elections. So in this context, it has upheld the Haryana Panchayat Act. Now, the Hindu editorial, what it argues is this. Now, in any country, keeping the restrictions on one's qualification to contest elections, it is a democracy diminishing trend. It is not in line with the principles of the democracy. Generally, the authoritarian rulers across the world, they try to create these particular qualifications. If you talk about Musharraf regimes in Pakistan or in Myanmar, one or the other restrictions are being created. But India is being a democratic country, it is not a welcome sign. That's what is the article argues about. That is too extreme a dimension. But however, in India you can argue that the early generations, they did not receive the education. And it is because of the lack of access to education rather than by choice. And second thing is, the keeping of huge amount of the population away from the electoral politics, it may hamper the empowerment of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. This can be the other arguments we can look at. Now, GM mustard trials. So it is before the Supreme Court. So any GM crops, what are the counter effects of that? The danger to the biodiversity and also health impact of the GM crops. On the positive side, they can increase the yield and production, that is going to strengthen the food security situation in the country. And India US to rise the defense ties. It is in relation to the Defense Minister Parikar's visit to the United States of America. You all know that defense technology and trade initiatives is existent between India and US. So both the countries wanted to take this forward. And in the United States, strategic ties deepen with the countries that have the strategic defense ties. So in this context, these DTTI will deepen the India and United States relationship. So, but however, the relationship has to transform itself from a buyer-seller relationship to the joint ventures or partnerships in the defense production, that is still pending. So next is the growth of the IAS. So this report, what it talks about is the unregulated arms supplies or reckless arms trading. It is the major reason for the availability of arms to in a Islamic State. If you talk about Iraq, Syria, most of the arms which are used by these Islamic State cadres, they come from weapons supplied by the West to these countries or Russia to these countries during the Cold War period. So these are the important articles for today. There is no valuable article. It is just repetition of the previous articles which we had. That's why, there is nothing valuable in this. So many students are complaining that this particular show me is not properly loading to them. So I'm exploring the alternatives. But however, every day morning 7:30, yes, I am going to post these videos in show me. If I have to shift into other platforms, I will inform it to you. And thank you very much for your support. And I'm really enjoying your comments. Thank you.